Hello everyone, welcome to our Thursday stream where we read the book, and apparently today we're making tea. Heyo Seof, hello Texan. And Seo just asked, Sensei Ankojan said you demand me to crawl to Switzerland in order to deliver money by hand. Well, crawling to Switzerland from Malaysia, I assume that's quite difficult. You see, if you look at Google Maps, you will see that there is a slight problem with doing so, and it is water. I guess you could crawl by land. I guess you could go through Turkey here. Yes. Okay, I see. Yes, that's totally possible. Because he didn't show us proof of what, though? Well, every earthquake is damaging, to be honest. Hello from Shaky Land, Akai Baraki. Oh my gosh, hope you're safe there, Texan. Hi, Melkor. Hey, Rico, thank you for 18 months. Welcome back. Seo gave me 2-piece handicap and he begged me to kill his king. In the TG West. What? There is TG. I don't understand the last part. My cactus fell. No, not the cactus. Won't come out of the carpet. No. I also had many cactuses in my home in Poland when I was a kid. I feel your pain. Hisashiburi, Rico. The best way to end the game. Yes. Capturing the king definitely is the best way to end the game. I agree. Today we gonna start reading new book, but we have to figure out how things work because technically there is some kifu. I just don't know how it's gonna help us or how to open it, so we will have to figure that out. Shuba no desushi. So we will have kifu. What is this? The zip inside a zip inside a zip. Okay. And this is the book actually. Okay. So this will be our book, which is not gonna show up because it's a new book. Okay, Shuba no strategy, the strategy of endgame. It's also written by Arakipe. It's the same author that wrote the last book. Thank you, Mifa, for 5 bits. Welcome everyone who just came. Yeah, and we're gonna be reading that. So explaining how to win the game. Yeah, I didn't translate the preface, and usually translating prefaces take a lot of time, so we might take a brief look. He says that Shogi is divided to 3 categories, which is opening, middle game, end game. Senkata ni yotte. There are some openings which basically skip the opening and middle game. For example, the Yokofudori 4-5 bishop drop, I assume, opening is the primary, like, a dictionary example of that. Also, the question is there a shogi game which doesn't have the endgame in it? Yes, of course, there is the example of people resigning before endgame happens, but of course, if the game ends up in king being captured, necessarily that means the endgame happened, yeah? So you cannot escape the endgame, guys. You cannot escape the endgame, and we have to learn how to navigate it masterfully, yeah? Even if you lead during the opening and the middle game, if you don't manage to capture the enemy king, it's not going to mean a lot. Wait, wait. Ah, okay, so there is a big wait on the endgame. So yeah, so when people ask me how do I improve at shogi or what do I learn first, I usually tell them like check those checkmating patterns. Usually, that's what's gonna give you the most result in shogi. Opening, of course, it's important to know at least one so that you don't lose immediately or you don't make silly mistakes, fall into a trap and stuff like this. But yeah, the game is decided in the end game. From my own experience, I also never was really good at like the opening phase because we never had many English books explaining how the opening works. I always concentrated on the end game, and then the more I played, the better I got at middle game as well, because that's necessary to understand. Yeah, the end game, then middle game. It's my feeling. So yeah, the author has a lot of right here. The end game has a lot of weight in it. And yeah, we were talking about stuff like Tsumero Nogare Tsumero, so checkmate threat, escaping checkmate threat, stuff like this. And he hopes you will enjoy this book, yeah? So what do we have in this book? I also didn't see it. So we will have the book, the preface, the conclusion phase, so the end game, the preparation to approach the king, breaking, yeah, okay, so it's somewhere like end of the middle game, extending your life, attacking, defending, decision making, and the spirit of going for the turnaround. So as you see, there are much less content, much less chapters than the previous book had. It still has 250 pages, so I assume there will be a lot of examples, and I hope we're gonna learn a lot here. Can you give any tips on where you can find more opening knowledge? Wikipedia is one, Hidechi is second. "10,000 books decided to fall on the ground," so that's not a very good sign. But those two books, The Art of Shogi and Just like at a Glance, are those two books that have the most. My shogi books are like, read us, and they all jumped off the bookshelf, but yeah. So, we also will have some Kifu files. So this last time I think we translated as conclusion phase. Yes. And this will be about Yose no Junbi. So Yose is the very hard to translate word. By the Jisho, it says something like last move in Go Shogi, end game, coming together. But also Yoseru is another verb, and it means to approach, to come near. So usually I translate that as the approaching moves, approaching the king, but basically it means endgame, yeah. Nekomado still not shipping to US? Well, by the Art of Shogi. And then we will have opening endgame. And this is something we talked about last book. This will be the piece advantage and the speed. And the opening, the most, like, very important will be the piece advantage. And those two kanji I don't understand, but I assume the speed won't matter. Trivial is trivial. It won't be important. While speed... Okay, so that's opposite. Speed won't be important in the opening, but it will be important as material, and the material won't be important in endgame. What you want to do is capture the king the fastest. And I think I have the Kifu to this book, but the Kifu says something page 16. So I assume that's a Kifu to page 16. We still will have this bunch of diagrams, which I should have put in Lishogi, but didn't prepare. So this time we're gonna read it like that. I guess it would be much better to put it in Lishogi. Oh gosh. All right, I will buy Art of Shogi sometime. Yeah, remember to buy it from the British Foundation because they sell it at the proper price, like Amazon and so on. It's overpriced. Hi, Necrodis. And of course, Hidechi Videos has a lot of opening knowledge in them. Okay. Okay, so he says, look at the importance of those different values. Of course, if you have more pieces, it's easier to win. Taking a lot of pieces of your opponent is good, but once you're in the end game, most important is you take the king first. So it's the race of the speed. And you should remember the proverb, the speed is more important than material in endgame. And basically what we have to do is change our material into speed. And the question will be, how do we do that? And what timing? And in order to judge that, we will have to define when does the end game begin, actually, yeah? Because if we're in the middle game, if we do it too early, that's gonna be bad, yeah? So we need to define when exactly does the end game starts. So we will have the reference one, the definition of the end game. At the beginning of the middle game that precedes the end game is quite simple to understand, and that's the engagement, the shikake. Shikake is the Japanese word. It's written by those kanji here that are split. Shikake. I have no idea what it means. It's the sign. Okay, that means sign. So it's the sign, the shikake is the sign of entering the middle game. For example, diagram 1. Yeah, this is diagram 1, and we see 3-5 pawn. Senta just played Senta is in Tanegoma, static rook versus Haimino, and we just push 3-5 pawn. This is that moment when the middle game starts. For example, diagram 2, we jumped with the knight here. This is the bishop exchange opening. The knight from 3-7 jumped to 4-5. We started attacking. That's also the engagement, the start of the middle game. Yeah, so here they say if you take, we push this pawn, and then they push this pawn, so like fight starts, yeah, clearly. And here, it looks like a rushed move, but actually it's pretty good. If the silver goes back, you're gonna attack 7-5, pawn takes, you promote here, king takes, and pawn drops. So you're gonna attack on this side. So yes, this is gonna be our engagement, beginning of our attack. So it's a move that targets the enemy camp, and it's a move that you cannot retreat from. Yeah? Here this knight has no way of coming back, clearly. And you have no way of like pulling your pawn back from opponent's hand in this case. So it's something you commit into. So this is simple, yeah, going from the opening to the middle game. I'm pretty sure all of you who just listening to the stream, you find it very clear, right? Now, what is the timing of going from middle game to end game? This is something we have to learn how to judge. So we will have next paragraph about the border between the opening and the middle game. The borderline is very ambiguous domain. The judgment of that is very difficult, but the author will show you 2 points that will help you with judging whenever the endgame started. So let's look at the first factor, which is do you have pieces that enter the enemy camp? Yeah, do you have pieces in the enemy camp, infiltrating the camp? So let's see a diagram 3, this one. The both sides' big pieces became promoted, and they infiltrated the enemy camp successfully. Yeah. So we have the dragon on 2-1, and we have the horse on 5-8. So we managed to get in. And at this time, we're gonna like think about attacking the castle directly. So this is not middle game. This is already. You should think of this position as an end game position, not the middle game position. Yeah, because we concentrate on the attack clearly. And then. Yeah, so if you think of this position as endgame, there is no mistake about it. Then diagram 4 is this one. There's no pieces that are promoted, but Sente has a bishop on 5-3, so here. And Gote has a pawn infiltrating the camp on 8-7. There's a lot of pieces that can enter the enemy camp soon. So both of the kings are in very unsafe position. And you can also say that this position is kinda endgame. So let's see. So we have the king here. The enemy pawn is here. He's really close to our king. This enemy pawn can promote, right? And he has bishop, silver knights that can continue help this pawn to attack, right? So it's really dangerous for our king. The enemy king for 1. We have the 5-3 bishop, 5-4 bishop, silver, and 4-4 silver. Clearly 4-3 pawn promotion is possible. It's really dangerous as well. So both sides, the castle is being destroyed. There's a lot of possibilities for a check or threatmate. And therefore, instead of thinking of this as a middle game, you can feel that there is a different feel about it, yeah? It's about how do you capture this king at this point. It's not about getting more pieces, breaking the castle. It's clearly how do you make a checkmate threat, how do you make a check endgame. Yeah, and it's defined by those pieces being close to the enemy king. Yeah, this one is less subtle, I think, but this one is really clear. Any questions so far, chat? Right, item. So here we will have some opposite example, where you will have pieces actually entering the enemy camp, but the kings will be safe. And guys, do you think it's endgame or middle game? So yeah, if the pieces will enter the enemy camp, it's a good sign that it's an endgame. But this is not all the factors that we have to consider. For example, diagram 5. Sente made a token, it's in the enemy camp, it successfully infiltrated it. But do we call this endgame? This position an endgame? Rico says, looks like middle game to me. Indeed, this will be middle game, yeah? Exactly, well done. So what's the difference, yeah? Okay, another example before we author summarizes it. Diagram 6, is it endgame or middle game? Both sides has a horse, yeah, in the enemy camp. So the point will be that we have the horse on 8-3 very close to the enemy king, but we don't have yet any attack on that king. The same with 3-9 horse. We still have a full castle around our king, and it's pretty far away from our king. So we don't call this situation the Yose, the endgame, or the approach, because they're so far away from the king, yeah? Or the kings are safe. So as you can see, even if your piece is in the enemy camp, you cannot call it immediately an endgame. Yeah, exactly. If there was a gold or two in hand, I agree. So yeah, this is not situation where you can directly approach the enemy king. As you can see, most of pieces aren't clashing with each other. There's no way to exchange them. So you can think of it as a middle game. That the middle game is going to develop from here. Yeah. All right, diagram 7. Like I said, okay, there is something more here. So Kodeshu Panga. So there is one more important point for us to know before we decide whenever it's endgame or not. So one of those was infiltration, right? And we will have the piece that infiltrated. Can it... What is Honmaru? Honmaru, seriously? Inner citadel, core, central, focus. Focused attack? I guess it means focused attack. Notation question, how tell pieces in hand? So when you have a shogi diagram, you can tell that center is by 1-1. You can also tell it by this comma mark here. And it will be on bottom right. It continues with word center. And then you will have pieces in hand. You will have lance and pawn. In case it's empty, it's gonna use hiragana saying na-shi, meaning empty. And upside down, you have here gote and what they have in hand. So gote will be on top because it's upside down, yeah? The piece is upside down. This piece is this direction. Oh, you get it, okay. So if they can attack in focused way. So we talked about those two horses not being able to have the attack, yeah? Okay, so he's going to explain what that focused mean. The focused means Honmar. I wanna additional translation of this word. It doesn't make sense to me. It's literally it means citadel. The main enclosure of the center of castle. It's not a shogi word, is it? It's just the author's definition, I'd imagine. Let me quickly check this, and if it's not here, we're gonna make up our own translation of that word to make it more easily understandable. Ho, he, who, he, ho. Ho, hon doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist as a shogi term. So Breen dictionary to not so rescue. Inner citadel core, inner focus, inner citadel core. Yeah, I think we're gonna translate it as the piece is being centered, but what it means is being active, basically. If it's active enough, if it's concentrated, focused on the enemy king, it's gonna be more about what that piece can do. So maybe activity will be the point. But we're gonna see. We're gonna read and we're gonna come up with the proper translation. So maybe... Okay, that's gonna be my guess. Maybe he intended to use it as a citadel, and maybe it meant as the attack at the enemy castle, but instead of saying castle, he used that complicated word. Yeah, we're gonna see. Okay, so basically says it indeed the Honmaru is the castle or the enemy king. So he uses the word citadel here, I believe. So the core would be the translation. If it's attacking the enemy core, which is the king and the castle. So let's translate it as a core for now. The enemy defensive core. So in diagram 4, the horse entered the enemy camp, but as you can see, it cannot attack the enemy Mino castle. Yeah, the Mino castle, the core is here, the horse is here, totally doesn't attack that at all. And guys, is it middle game or end game? Middle game or end game? Middle, still face middle. Good. So it says that both sides like are still not ready for the attack, and therefore it's middle game. They are not ready for the attack on the enemy castle. The book is about endgame, so endgame. I see. You went one step forward, Mifa. Okay, continuing this diagram. So, is this middle game or not? Is this endgame or middle game? This one was middle game. This one is... So we have a rook attacking the king directly, and we have 7-8 silver really close to our king. Is this endgame or middle game? And the answer will be clearly this silver is really close to this core, the king, and this rook also have no trouble affecting this king position with promotion next. So we can say that this is endgame. Like Sea of Set, endgame like sounds correct to me. Gote also, they are able to take the 6-9 knight, king takes and bishop promotion. It will be a direct attack on the enemy king. And this kind of situation is clearly endgame looking, yeah. Early endgame, yeah. I mean, because they have no castle, I would say it's not early, it's just endgame, but yeah. It's a very hard question. Even Karo Sensei still keep asking us. I keep asking you to force you to think for yourself. I know it's endgame. All right, so to conclude the talk, the decision about whenever you're in endgame or not is 1. Do we have an attacking piece in enemy camp? 2. Is this piece attacking the enemy core? Those 2 points. Okay, this is kind of stupid Japanese, but those 2 points are the point, is the literal translation. But you get what I'm saying, right? Those 2 things are the key of your evaluation. If you have this type of piece that's in the enemy camp and attacking the core, you can say that it's around the middle game. It's okay to think about it as around the middle game. Mifa is Comedy Gold, yeah. I like how you wrote his name with an F instead of F, but none of that. So now, okay. So for the English word for this book, in this book, he will be calling those pieces that are in the enemy camp and attacking the core. He's gonna call them Tanegoma. That's his definition. I don't think it's an actual word. It's basically it can mean few things. It can mean main ingredient, like the source of your attack, special. No, it's not special. Species, kind, class, variety, or a seed. I'm not sure which definition, but I would assume it's gonna be the main force of your attack. Tanegoma. Yeah, I don't think it's a... I never saw this. I don't think this word exists normally. No. 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 No, no. Ne. Ah, it exists. Actually, it exists in Hideachi's dictionary. It says, Tanegoma, a kind of once lone piece on the board that can be used as the starting point of his further attacks. Literally seed piece. Okay, so that hint about it being the core piece, the main piece. I don't agree with the seed piece translation. Let's go with... I like to call it a pivotal piece. It's just my own translation. It's the pivot of your attack. It's where it's gonna start. But maybe the chat, you can offer some definition that sounds better. Anchor. Yeah, I don't want to use the anchor because there's the anchor pound and it would introduce a confusion. The source piece. The sourcing, the main piece. Catalyst. What is this? Plant the seed comma to grow your victory. Yeah, that also makes sense, but it's like... So it's basically cause, source, seed, origin. So translate the pivotal. Pivotal, a crucial importance in relation to development of success or something else. Pivot. Pivot. Meaning, a central point, pin, or shaft which mechanism turns or oscillates. So I would call a pivot piece because I know from experience that's how I translated some of the positions in endgame, and I think it's gonna make a lot of sense to keep it as a pivot. Even though it's not a direct translation. But yeah, I want you to think of it, you can think of it like as a seed that you plant and it's gonna grow. You can think of it like the origin of your attack, like, I don't know, Matrix type of deal that sends the robot everywhere. But I shall be using Spelling? You mean this, or you mean the word pivot? I don't know. Which one do you want? Anyway, this pivotal piece will be quite important to us because we need to make it. Once you make it, it's gonna be the approach phase, yeah? So it's gonna be important for us to like start the approach on the enemy king. Yeah, so we always need some start. We always need some seed, some pivotal piece to like start the attack. And it's gonna be very important. And once it appears, it's gonna be the sign of the endgame, yeah? Sinamini, by the way. In the diagram 8, we saw rook 8-1 and 7 and silver, and those were the pivotal pieces. Yeah, so this silver and this rook. Catalyst is a chemistry term. It means a substance that increases the rate of chemical reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. However, it is often used as an analogy for other things that cause or trigger an event or change. I mean, you could think of it as a catalyst. You could. Ah, thanks, Yellow. No. Okay, so what I meant in my Discord is that I didn't dry it yet. It was... And then I dried it, and then I put wax on it, so it looks better. But basically, it's like eat breakfast, watch the news, and it's like always, oh no, I have to go to the stream quickly, shower time, woo! And then I usually make tea after I start my stream. This time I started my stream before my hair was ready. Actually, I always do it at the same time. But yeah, basically it's like this is the tightest period, like, oh, I have to run because I have a stream. And Thursdays are the most loose because I'm reading alone. On Tuesdays I have to do it on time because Paul will come. But Thursdays are the roughest ones for me to get on time. All right. So, pivotal piece, catalysts, I guess is the proper pronunciation. Catalyst, what's catalyst in Polish? Or seed piece, whatever you imagine, that's gonna be that piece, catalyst. Or we can use the Tanegoma as in Japanese, in Polish. Catalysator. This is why I'm trying to pronounce it. So in English it's catalyst.
Catalyst.
Catalyst, but in Polish it's
Katalizator.
so it has one more syllable in it, and this is why it confuses me. I think in my brain that it should be longer word, but it's not. It's catalyst. In Polish it would be catalyz, but it's catalysator, which is much longer word. Okay, anyway, back to Shogi. Back to Shogi. So, I mean, I can call it catalysator, but... so, reference number 2, or thinking. How do you translate it? Like, thoughts number 2. How do we actually translate this word? Shiko, which means thoughts, consideration, thinking. Okay, I was on the right. Thought number 2. The endgame power, the fighting power... Perseverance or checking preserve, something like that, making sure it stays type of deal. Securing, okay, securing sounds so much better. Securing your power. Do you shower after breakfast? Depends on the day, I guess. We have this funny thing because we wake up on Mondays and Wednesdays very early for our German class, and we usually rotate. One of us eats the breakfast, the other one takes shower, and then we rotate. But each day we decide, you're first. No, you're first. Usually I'm the first because I have to dry my hair, but this should be an endgame position. Okay. So if you have that pivot piece, The endgame, the position will be in the endgame, yeah? That's what we decided. So we have to think it will be the step toward approaching the enemy king, yeah? From now on, we will have to think how to approach the enemy king. In this timing, if you have only one pivotal piece, your attacking power won't be enough. So you will have to some extent, make sure that secure your attacking pieces, yeah? Okay, let's see what he means by that exactly. Basically, you need 4 pieces to attack. Okay, so we go to our theory from before, having 4 pieces to attack. The method. Let's see this diagram first. Konoyona situation. Well, in this type of situation, you can... this type of situation happens often in the opposing shogi, so it's static rook versus swinging rook. How would you attack here? Yeah. Why do you need 4 pieces? So we decided we need 4 pieces to secure our attacking power. Why do we need 4 pieces? Let's make sure we understand the reasons. We all heard about the proverbs, use the rook, bishop, silver, knight in the attack. If you didn't hear, now you did. Or you heard about the proverb, if you have 4 pieces, your attack will be continuous, won't be stopped. You probably heard those proverbs. If you have 4 pieces secured, korera no hyakuen o ni what the blah blah blah. What is this kanji? Imitate. It follows that proverb. Okay, follow. Narau. I never saw this kanji. So it will follow those proverbs. Because you do that, because you follow this proverb, you can expect that the castle defends something. You're gonna surpass the enemy's defensive power. I mean, you can think of it like they have 3 generals in the defense. If you have 4 pieces, you have more attackers, yeah? So let's see more in the detail. So yeah, if you guys didn't know what to do in this position, it's clearly to activate the bishop, activating your big piece. It's very important in the end game. It's going for the approaching phase. Naturally, if you use big pieces instead of smaller pieces in the attack, your power to the approach will be stronger, yeah? Prosody, the bane of all translators. I don't understand the word prosody, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so in the previous page, 4-1 rook was the pivotal piece, the core piece, the seed piece. Now, the piece in hands were silver and the knight. But, as we calculated, that's only 3 pieces, yeah? Rook, rook, silver, knight. So, it's not enough. We need 1 more. So, we're gonna use the bishop. 4-4 bishop. The best move. And we're actually threatening something nasty. We're threatening to sacrifice the rook, silver takes, and silver drops 7-1, something like this, on diagram 11. If you do that, the enemy's king will be in a checkmate. Stronger players can follow that 9-3 king, then there is the knight drop. If he goes to the corner, we surround him with the bishop. So this is checkmate, basically. Very quick. So if they, after the bishop, they push the pawn to make an escape route, you drop the knight, something like here, sealing of the escape, no problem. And what we want to notice here is that center had 4 attacking pieces, and therefore it leads to a very beautiful decisive attack, yeah? If you are missing one of these pieces, the to bring down. Okay, you're not, if you're missing one of those pieces, you're not able to bring down the enemy king. Shitomeru. Okay. If you maintain 4 attacking pieces, even as powerful castle as the Mino castle, they won't be able to defend. It's kind of mind-blowing, probably. Like, if you are a beginner and you see this shape of the opponent, you are like, how can I defend it? Like, defeat it? How can I break through? And the answer is, well placed 4 pieces, yeah? It's quite mind-breaking. And this type of, finding this type of attacks, it's also very difficult. In real game, you know, they have other defensive pieces and so on. But in this ideal position, you can clearly see that it's like the most effective way you're gonna use those 4 pieces, yeah? Very beautiful way of attacking. So that's what you wanna do, yeah? With 4 pieces, you wanna be able to break through. We wanna learn those patterns. Prosody is using fancy words like in poetry, song lyrics, or literature, not to convey any additional meaning, just to make it pretty. Oh God, okay. Yes, that's, yeah. I can relate. Prosody, okay. Any questions so far? So far, okay? I think it was quite easy so far. So here we have 7/7 bishop. It's not attacking the enemy king. We would like to move it to a better place. To attack the enemy king, Koryak. To defeat the enemy, to capture the enemy king, to assault the enemy king. To attack the enemy castle, you need 4 pieces. It's very important. We just said that. Okay, we just said that having 4 pieces to attack an enemy castle is very important. But okay, so he's mentioning that you need to know what to do with those 4 pieces. That's what I mentioned. If you make a mistake, your attack won't be enough. So you need to properly judge how you can make this piece to work in the end game properly, yeah? So, yeah, let's talk about the basics of it. Speaking from extreme example, you have to check if that piece is attacking the enemy core, the enemy castle. Yeah. So here this bishop clearly isn't attacking the enemy castle. Gonna love them. Yeah, the transformation theory. So yeah, the rook was attacking the enemy castle. Because we have pieces in hand, they can immediately be dropped in the enemy core as well. The problem will be, okay, so them all are like actually attacking the enemy castle, but the bishop, as shown in those arrows, it was totally off the core, so it doesn't count as an attacking piece. Yeah, clearly it exists, but it's not useful. It's not an attacking piece. It's not directed at the core. So if we move it to 4/4, it will start influencing the enemy core, which is the basics we talk about, yeah? And it becomes an attacking piece. And we can count it as the 4th piece. Yeah, so that's important point. Even if you have those 4 pieces, you have to make sure they are actually attacking piece, that they are actually attacking something. So here you have bishop attacking the enemy core. You can count it as the 4th piece. So next 7-1 silver is possible thanks to the bishop. Yeah, that's quite important point. As simple as it is, it's very important. So actually what we do in that situation is we delete the playing around piece and we make it useful. That's important. And we maintain our attacking power, secure it. That's the other thing that we're doing. Okay, so that's the thing we did in order to secure our attack, yeah? Activating play around pieces. Now there's another way you can maintain your power. We talked about this at the end of the last book. It's about supplementing your attack with more power using tokens, yeah? So in diagram 13, you have attacking pieces. You have a dragon on 4-1, clearly, yeah? You have a silver, and you have a lance in hand. So those are 3 pieces. In order to destroy the Minokasu, you need more. So how are you gonna do it? You could play 2-1 dragon to take the knight. But also there's another move, which is 4-3 pawn drop. Yeah. Yeah, they say it's not enough to break through with 3 pieces. Okay, so it's just this example for now, yeah? We can either drop the pawn here to have 4th piece or take the knight. Both are possible. Now they're gonna show us some other example and they say, but sometimes you don't need 4 pieces to break through. For example, in diagram 14, you could take the, so it's similar position, but there is no gold, yeah? You could take the knight saying, I need 4 pieces, but actually, you can attack faster here. Yeah, you have silver and lance. You could drop the lance on 6-3 here. The silver cannot take, it's pinned, right? Could drop the lance here. And it would be much faster attack. The rule that the author is giving us here, if the enemy castle have 2 defensive pieces instead, we will need 3 pieces to break through. Yeah? So if it's 3-piece castle, we need 4 pieces. If it's 2-piece, we need 3. Got it? We need 1 piece advantage. Easy to understand. So try to think of it like this, in this flexible way, yeah? Speaking of this example, if we drop the lance and he escapes, we just promote the lance to 6-2, and our attack continues. The enemy doesn't have enough defense, so even if we don't have 4 pieces, we can break through, no problem. Hefeweizen, okay, and this is Arithematan pawn. Some computers, yeah, those are 2 computers playing against each other. 2020. The enemy lance knight do not count as defensive piece. How does it stop this dragon from attacking? This knight, how does it stop? Well, it doesn't, so it doesn't count. Yes. Isn't Hefeweizen a ranging rook engine? Well, well, I don't have an answer for that. So if we look at this Shogi software game, let's see if they do. the thing that we mentioned. In the diagram 15, you have 6-1 bishop. This is our pivotal piece. At the same time, we will have rook and silver in hand. Also, we have a promoted silver on a2. This promoted silver will be too far away from the core, enemy core. So we cannot count it as an attacking piece. And therefore, we'll end up with 1, 2, 3 attacking pieces. Looking at this, we will need one more piece to continue attacking, right? So, what does the computer do? They took the knight. It might be quite difficult to see that, but with the pieces that we have, it's impossible to like break through the enemy camp. So it was important for us to decide that we need one more piece in our hand to continue attacking. Once we have 4 pieces, our attack will be continuous. Yeah. Next, we can drop 1-5 knight. The computer actually defended it 1-4 pawn, but we get the initiative and our advantage continues. Yeah. There was a famous example where Hefeweizen showed how to transform for bishop exchange formation into static rook bishop exchange. Fitting name for a beer. Beer. Yeah, it does. Like a beer, yeah. It is definitely German. There probably is some explanation why they chose this one. It is a beer, actually. Weizen beer. Kristallweizen and Hefeweizen is a Shogi engine. Okay, Kristallweizen, a Shogi engine, or more precisely, a Shogi evaluation function by the team Barra House, a beer bar in front of Okayama Station, due to the developers around Seiji Shiba, Mitsunori Matsushita, and Yasuhiko Tajima. Kristallweizen became runner-up at the Shogi Championship of Computers in 2019, where it ran in the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud and applied multi-pondering, Kristallweizen, blah, 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 blah. So yes, it's connected to beer. Or a bar. Beer bar. I read it on this page if you're interested. Hey, is Polish illegal on your channel? No. Everything is legal. As long as you're not swearing or disturbing other people, it should be fine. But yeah, like, great. It is a beer, yes. So even computers know about this rule. Yeah. Very important. Even computer agree. There's another computer game from 2020 as well. And here you can see that... Okay, let's see. We have a dragon here. We have a gold. And then we have a bishop and promoted lance and a pawn. So yeah, dragon and gold are on the first and second row. We also have silver and lance. We would like to make a pivotal piece, so maybe 1 to dragon. But the problem with that is in this timing, the gold will be hard to use or something. So in this situation, we take the 3-4 pawn with the gold instead. The horse will run away to 5-3. We drop the lance to 4-4. Pawn drop 4-1. Gold goes in. Horse escapes, and we drop another pawn, leading to this situation, basically. Masz wspomnienia z Naruto? No ja właśnie z Naruto też znam Shogi. I also know Shogi from Naruto. So yeah, the computer chose this way of attacking. It decides to activate the gold and therefore maintain 4-piece attack, yeah? They try to not lose any pieces on the way. So this is something you can understand, yeah? So we have gold, we have lance, we have pawn, and silver in hand. The dragon doesn't matter, actually. So it preferred to use the gold over the dragon in this situation, which is also quite interesting. It didn't want to leave the play around piece on the 2-4. So yeah, Sente managed to create the pivotal piece before the enemy. It looks like they're going to win by 1 move. Next, we're threatening silver drop, or we're gonna input our dragon to 1-2 to join the attack, yeah? So it is in this way how we use 4 pieces to attack the enemy core. It's very important for us to remember this. You want you to be careful about something. Is Mandarin illegal in your channel? Guys, if you all speak in different languages, you're not gonna understand each other. It's the famous biblical story of the Babel Tower. Have you heard about this story? Particularly flashy mimicry. I don't understand this sentence, I'm not gonna lie. So maybe don't try to like imitate it without understanding it, something like that. The approach, the endgame, it's important to play a lot of those basics moves that build up upon each other, yeah? They're steady, trustworthy. Okay, so you don't want to play flashy moves like the dragon. You want to build up your attack into 4-piece. You want to, sometimes slower, but more secure way, yeah? You want to have those 4 pieces. This way you will be able to play better. Okay, so. We should simply all learn each other's languages, all 2,000 of them. Okay, today we're gonna start with Polish. From now on, I'm gonna start streaming only in Polish so that you can learn it. Thank you, Yellow. Have a nice night. Oh God, if I start thinking in Polish, my brain is gonna break. No, I'm sorry, says Sia. Yeah. So, okay, once more, let's conclude what we talked about. Shogi is opening, middle game, end game. Is made of those 3 things, yeah? Then, once you enter the end game or get closer to the end game, your priorities change. So we will have to change the way we think about the position. Timing of changing the way you approach to the position is when you judge the basic situation of having a pivotal piece. Yeah, if you have a pivotal piece, you judge it as the end game, and then you change the way you think. So how do we do it once more? To find pivotal piece or the seed piece or Tanegoma, you check if that piece is in the enemy camp and if it attacks the enemy core. Once you have that, you will have that pivotal piece. Once you have the pivotal piece on the board, please think of this position as, it's okay to think of this position as an endgame position. And based on that, you can notice that one of the things that you need to achieve in the middle game is to create a pivotal piece. Got it? Kapustan pierogi. You're 100% Polish now. Okay, so this is where where the pivotal piece is being generated, where it appears. Look at this and start thinking about the end game. Change your way of thinking into end game. So what is this position? So we have opening, middle game, and end game. So the closer to the right, the closer to the end of the game we are. And this will be the value of a thing. So we have two things. We have the piece advantage, the material, and we have the speed. So as we started in the beginning of the stream, the value of the material is gonna go lower the more the game advances, while the speed that we wanna achieve, the initiative, stuff like that, yes, speed or speed, but more like initiative, it's gonna go higher the closer we're to the end game. In the middle game is gonna matter, but as we enter the end game, you can see that it's the most important, yeah? And around here, which is the middle game and end game, this is where you have those pivotal pieces appearing. So that's the science behind Shogi, yeah? And then we talked about if you have that pivotal piece and you have 4 pieces to attack, then if you have those two things, go for the enemy king. Go and approach it, go and break his position. And I'm gonna translate this paragraph. So of course, once you enter the end game, you wanna start approaching the enemy king. But in order to do so, you need some preparation. Let's translate it as, simply speaking, you need 4 pieces, 4 attacking pieces. The reason why you need 4 pieces is that you have to have more attacking power than enemy has defensive power. But if the enemy doesn't have enough defensive power, you also don't need as many attacking pieces. So as we said, if they have 2 generals in defense, you need 3 attacking pieces. If they have 3 defensive pieces, you need 4 attacking pieces, yeah? So you need to adapt to the amount of the defense they have. You need this many attacking pieces. And by the way, making the pivotal piece and having 4 pieces in the attack, do not mistake the order of moves. You have to do not mistake the order of those things. No, do not mistake. Kamawanai. Okay, so it means the order doesn't matter actually, I think. Towanai, to ask, to blame, to inquire, to charge, call into doubt. Do not doubt it. Korega dojira sakiku moyoku. It's fine whichever you start with. It's also fine if you do both at the same time. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You just need those 2 factors together. If you look at page 17, it's gonna be clear. So yeah, here we went for 4 pieces before activating our dragon, I guess. So the birth of the pivotal piece, okay, the appearance of the pivotal piece and having 4 pieces in hand. If we have those, our approaching preparation will be done. But there's one more thing you have to be aware before approaching the enemy king. Let's talk about this in the next chapter or paragraph or subchapter. It brings out an interesting point, like if your opponent doesn't have any or barely have any castle, then your opponent couldn't handle fast attack too well. Yeah, that's true, that's true. So we might leave it for the next stream. Let's just translate because I'm curious what kind of thing we're gonna be talking about. Senchi, meaning the front in battle, so the front line. Reduction. Shukusho. Scaling down. Something about locality theory type of deal. Yeah, something about like focusing and probably weak points too. So that's what we're gonna talk about next week, I guess. I think we covered a lot today. All right, guys. So that's the beginning of a new book. Hope you enjoyed. The endgame, we're gonna continue talking about it. Today we had the pivotal piece, we had the 4-piece attack, which gonna create the amazing beginning of our approach. Now we know where the endgame starts, we know where the middle game ends. We know that we don't need as many pieces if the enemy castle is already like missing the pieces. By the way, this is important for you to bring that second goal to the castle because then the enemy has harder time breaking it. We talked about the order of things you have to do. You don't need to make the pivotal piece then 4 pieces. You can do both at the same time. You can do opposite. It's just for you to be aware that you need those 2 things to have a successful attack. And then we're gonna talk about, next week, we're gonna talk about in more detail how exactly should we attack, yeah? What is this square we should attack on? How should we break the enemy camp? We had a little bit of flash. Spoiler, I guess, like here we had the 7-1 point. Both of the pieces concentrated on 1 point. We're gonna be talking about stuff like this next week. This was a useful lesson. Thank you, Contenti. Glad you're content. I don't wanna drop too much information on you in one day. I think it was a lot of material and I think it's a good start. So we're gonna continue next week. In the meantime, let me check my schedule. So the next stream we're gonna have is on Saturday, where we analyze your shogi games, and on Sunday we analyze your tournament games. And if you guys would like your game to be analyzed, remember to post it here. And yeah, hope you had a nice time. If you have any feedback, if you think I should create bigger diagrams on stuff like this, remember to post it on our Discord. And I will see you again on Saturday. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all the follow beats. And thank you for writing in the chat. Yes, Siof, Suwako, Contenti, Roland, thanks for being interactive. It makes my day. See you.